It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with your succulent tip of the day. And today is actually Saturday and we aren't working, which is weird. But, you know, in the life of a succulent gardener, the work is never done. So I turned my attention to a couple little projects that I can do out of my own yard. And yesterday, if you follow closely, you know that Hannah and I were over to property in Bonita where we excavated a Pachypodium lameryi at the client's request because apparently it had been pouting for over a year and just wasn't doing anything and they wanted it gone. So they took it upon themselves to go get a new Pachypodium lameryi from Rancho Soledad Nursery in San Diego County, and Hannah planted it, watered it in, and fertilized it for them. So the one that we took out, I just didn't see anything wrong with it. I think it was just unhappy possibly where it was planted. So I rescued it. I brought it home and I came out here this morning into my, this is the foster garden, to see where I could throw it in the ground temporarily until I find it a new home. And lo and behold, the aloe dichotoma has turned up its toes, crossed the rainbow bridge, and gone on to be with Jesus. It rotted. Looky here. I mean, it was tragic anyway. Looked terrible. I had it in a pot on the courtyard, and then I took it out of the pot because I wanted the pot for my new Pachypodium lameryi crest. So I stuck it in the ground here, and it hated me for it. It just rotted clean off. Look at that. Just a goner. Just a goner. So,
and you can't cut it.
And Greg's like, you can't cut it? Yeah, I can cut it all day long, but this is not a plant that does well as a cutting in terms of in terms of rerooting. It just doesn't do it. So there's no point. Remember, we tried with that other aloe, tree aloe.
Come on, you got your muscle shirt on.
Yeah, I got my muscle shirt on. Show me the muscle. See, I mean, it's still got a lot of viable tissue in there, but it's not going to harden and throw off roots. So, 'tis a goner, my friends. 'Tis a goner. We'll try again. Another day. We will fight on another day. So, let's talk about this lameryi. First things first. I'm going to dig a hole right here. This is where I had that dichotoma, and it's really wonderful soil. I mean, there's just a, it's a Heinz 57 mixed in here. This bed has seen so many transformations over the 14 years we've been here. I mean, I've poured more soil in here, dumped leftover canned dirt, mounded. It's just really rich. Drains very, very well. We haven't had any irrigation events. I don't have gutters over here. Honestly, I don't know how I managed to rot that thing, but lo and behold. Okay, so, yeah, let me just see about it here. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call it, I know, right, that word, moist. It's, I guess, damp. It's cool. It's definitely got some moisture in it, but it is absolutely not wet. So I feel very, very confident in sticking our lameryi in there. Now, here's our little lameryi. How's this for a phallus, my friends? Now, a couple things about the Pachypodium lameryi. This is a native of Madagascar, and it does have a sap inside of it, not unlike the euphorbia sap, and it is a latex. It is and can be toxic and irritating to the skin, poisonous to pets. So be careful with it, because this is a plant that can also successfully be grown as a house plant for those of you that aren't in the land of milk and honey and need to either overwinter your plants inside or just have them inside at all times. But if you have pets, be careful. Although, look at these spines. I can't imagine Fido or Fluffy trying to get into that, right? But hey, you never know. So just be mindful of that. If you're going to have this as a house plant, it will need a sunny window. Medium light won't cut it. It needs to be bright or full indoors. This is a plant that will absolutely plots if the temperatures drop below, much below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. All of these little leaves will fall off and you will have yourself a true phallus. Now, once the weather warms up, the soil warms up, the days get longer, she throws off a whole new crown of leaves. And once this plant gets some maturity on her, and this one, you know, based on the size, is quite mature, it will also start throwing off arms. And then it will flower. The flowers are white, and they smell a lot like plumeria. It's a fabulous smell. So this is a really fun, interesting, funky plant to grow in the garden, and I highly recommend it. Now let's take a look at what's happening down below here. You know, Hannah dug this out, and doesn't necessarily, you know, look terrific. There's some girdling of the roots. She had to sever a main artery right there. So, you know, we're already starting at a bit of a disadvantage with this plant. This discoloration here is probably sunburn. I don't hate it though. But yeah, it's a really turgid plant. I mean, it's not wobbly, it's not rotten, there's no smell, there's no squishiness to it. I really think it's going to be, you know, just dandy. So, let's plant it, shall we? The best way to handle cactus or prickly plants is by the bottom. Just get something, you know, like a kneeling pad or a towel or just anything that you can put between yourself and the plant for leverage, but handle it by the bottom. Now, this hole that I dug is a little bit deep, but that's on purpose because this plant is quite top heavy and I don't want it toppling. So I'm going to go ahead and allow that, and I will be planting the soil up well above the root ball. And this is going to be in the ground just for a matter of weeks. You know, we're moving mid-August, but I might find a home for it before then. But in the meantime, you know, I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to throw it away. This is a plant that I think is going to do very, very well once it gets put in the right spot. So I may gift it to a client or perhaps take it with me to Vista. We shall see. But you just want to tamp the dirt around really good. And remember, we are not going to be watering this new plant because the roots were really thrashed. It's going to be very shocky. It's also got a significant amount of water in its trunk already. So I wouldn't suggest watering a Pachypodium lameryi that looks like this ever. Until you start to see some new growth up top. When you start to see it throwing off some leaves and you know it's awake and active and not in dormancy stress, then you can apply a little irrigation. But until then, it's got it covered. There's plenty going on inside of the plant to sustain life. So, you know, don't over water. All right, that's it on the Pachypodium. As Greg and I were walking through the foster garden, I also noticed something disturbing over here with this aloe. It just caught my eye. I'm not sure how, but I'll show you. Can you get in there, Greg? You see it? What do you see, my advanced succulent students? Yes, you do see that. That is aloe mite. That's a bad one. That is a big fat canker. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know the history of this aloe or exactly what it even is specifically or where I got it. I just thought the shape and the color was kind of interesting. So I stuck it in here just to kind of see what it would do. But we're going to dig it out. Now, if you were so inclined and you wanted to try to save this plant, you could remove these bottom leaves to really expose the canker there. Get rid of that one. Whoop. Hey, little spider. And you could remove this with your clippers, and then you're just going to want to bleach or make sure to sterilize after your clippers come in contact with anything as gross as this. So see how it looks like we got all that nonsense off, right? So now one wonders, well, you know, if the diseased tissue has all been removed, can't we just get on with life? And the answer is maybe. Aloe mite is microscopic, and it's hard to know if we got all the margins. It's hard to know if it's still down in there, what, you know, exactly is happening. You can apply a product. You can apply 7 dust. You can apply the bare tree and shrub systemic to that. Oh, look, see, there's some more evidence here. You know, I just feel like the more we go at this, just the more we're going to see. Looks like I can see some more here too. So, you know, the next step would be to perhaps sever the plant right here, let this bottom harden off, treat it with the 7, and then plant it back in as a cutting. And you can try that. You know, I've heard from people that they've had some success, you know, physically removing the galls, treating the plant, and getting on with it. But because this plant isn't, you know, I don't have any sentimental attachment to it, and I just don't want that spreading to the rest of my plants, it's not worth it to take the risk for me. So I'm going to bag and dispose of that plant. I'm going to sterilize my equipment, throw away these gloves, and hope that I don't see any more aloe mite in my garden anytime soon. Would I treat the soil? To the best of my knowledge, aloe mite is not a soil-borne insect. I suppose it wouldn't hurt to throw a liquid systemic down in there too if you're really concerned. Maybe even not plant anything in that spot. No more aloes or agaves or barrel cactus in that spot. You know, follow your own instinct, your own protocols. You can always check with your local cooperative extensions, a garden center that you trust, or a succulent and cactus group on Facebook, or Reddit. Those are all really good places to learn from others that have experienced this themselves. So for me, I am going to just get rid of everything and sterilize everything and pretend that this never happened. That's going to be how I handle it. It's been a few days since we did over the gutters, and I added all of the Aeonium kiwis. And remember, we talked about how they tend to scar when handled, and I was kind of concerned about the heat and wasn't sure if it was such a smoking hot idea to do that in July. But when I look at the little cuttings that I planted, I mean, they look fine to me. So far, so good. I'm not seeing any ill effects. I had hoped that they might get enough shading from surrounding plants that they wouldn't be, you know, too affected by the heat. And so far, so good. These gutters haven't looked this good in months. I am definitely encouraged there. Okay, so that's my Saturday, guys. What the heck are you up to? Please let me know in the comments. What fabulous victories or sad challenges you're facing right now as you garden with cactus and succulents. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity, reporting from Chula Vista, California, with your succulent tip of the day. Bye, guys.